the long-awaited embroidered eye tutorial. So yeah, let's just jump right into this. What I'm going to show you in this video is eye embroidery, and so how I embroider my eyes, and then how I shape them as well. These safety eyes are just here for placement. I will explain those in a minute. The things you are going to need: Lion Brand 24/7 cotton in white and black, and then you're going to need a little bit, this is probably like 20 inches or so of your main color, scissors, and a darning needle. And for placement, safety eyes. So these aren't attached in there, but I do use these for placement before I start embroidering. So a good thing to remember too is that you're going to be shaping. So whenever you're placing these, push them in to kind of give you a better idea of how they're going to look, because before you shape it, they just look like bug eyes no matter what you do. So always kind of push them in. That'll give you a good gauge as to how they're going to look once you shape them. Once you like the placement of that, we're going to take our main color and thread it onto your darning needle. I have this little, not really trick, but I've been doing this where I don't close my head until I'm done with like all my embroidery. That way it's like easy for me to tuck in my ends. So that's why the head is open still. Okay, so we're going to enter just like we normally would shape safety eyes. We're just going to do the same thing. So enter through the back of the head. You're going to come out the side of the safety eye, just like you normally would shape. Okay, we're going to pull, leave a little tail. Make sure these don't fall out either because they're not really secured. So then you're going to hop across the eye and go in on this other side. And then you're going to come out. That's kind of too high. You're going to come out. So we're going to come out on the inside of this eye. Pull, and you're going to leave a little loop right here. Okay. And then we are going to enter our needle on the outside of that eye, and then I'm just going to come out the back of the head. Okay, now we have little loops over the eyes. Now you can take out these safety eyes because they have done their purpose. And then I'm just going to, I want to still be able to see these loops because when we embroider, we're going to be working over them. We're going to be using them as a guide. So you can pull them in a little bit, but you still want to be able to see these loops here. Okay. Okay. So we're just going to leave it like that. And then we're going to take our black cotton yarn, and I kind of just hold it. So I'll hold it in this hand and just do arm's length. So I know you can't see it, but I'm just doing all arm's length. So it's pretty far. I'm like spanning out my arms, and then I do that like 2 times and cut it. So I have a lot to work with. Okay. I want a lot. I would rather have too much than not enough. Okay, so I'm going to thread that, and then what we're going to do is take this, and this is our loop right here, okay? See our little loop? I'm going to enter my needle right underneath that loop, go through the head, and exit right underneath this loop. So here's this loop, and I'm going to exit here. Okay, so we're going through the head. It should be straight if you're using your guides. And we're going to pull this yarn. I have so much yarn. We're going to pull it through until these are even. So you want the same amount on each side. Okay, so you're going to pull it through until you have the same amount of yarn on each side. All right, and then you can choose to start with whatever side you want. I always start with this side over here. I don't know why, I just prefer to do that. So then you're going to thread this yarn onto your needle. And then what we're going to do is just basically use this loop as a guide. So this is going to be the bottom of my eye, and then I'm going to go right up here and go through the head and basically just loop around where I put that loop. And I work my eyes from bottom to top. I know a lot of people do it the other way, but I just prefer this way for some reason. Okay, now what I like to do now, I'm just going to continuously do this, but I like to place this where I want it to go and hold it with my thumb and then pull like that. Okay, and then I kind of like to keep track of my count because I want the other side to be even. So that was 2 because we did the first one and then this one. I'm going to keep building up this outside of my eye. So I'm going to lay that there, hold it down. Because if you just start pulling this without having control, your yarn is just going to kind of bunch up and it's going to kind of go everywhere. So you want to control this by placing it. You are in charge of your eye, okay? So I'm going to put it again on the outside, hold it with my thumb, and pull it through. You are 100% going to get caught on an arm or a leg or an ear. That's okay. Okay, so there's 4. Do it again. 5. My magic number is usually between 8 and 10. So I like to do 5 or 6 working outward, if that makes sense, and then I start working this side. So I'm going to do 1 more, and this will be 6. Okay, so I'm going to place it on the outside, hold it, and pull. So now we're going to work the inside of the eye. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to start holding it on this side here. So we're going to go again. We're going to hold it on the inside part of that eye and pull. Okay, we're going to do 1 more. So I did 6 on the outer, 3 on the inner. So I did 6 on this side, 3 over here, and then I'm actually going to do 1 more on this outside. And this time I'm not going to come out at the bottom of the eye. I'm going to come out a stitch over and down 1. That way we can do the lash. So I'm going to come out this time there. I'm still going to hold this so it places where I want it to place. If you want a thinner lash, you can just do this once. If you want a thicker lash, you can actually do this twice. So if you're just going to do a thin lash, you're going to put your needle in at the top of the eye, and then you're just going to come out the top of the head, right in between where the eyes would be. I'm actually going to do 2 loops for the lash. So I'm going to come out the same stitch. Again, hold it where you want it to go, because I want it to look a little bit thicker. Okay, so then this time I'm going to go in and out the center of the head. Again, hold it so it places where you want it to place. If you just kind of aimlessly let it go, it's going to just go wherever. Okay, and then you're going to have some stuffing here since you're working inside the head, but okay, and then you're just going to let that go. This is where we're going to tie off both colors and put that into the head later. I cut my white. For the white, I just do an arm's length. So I hold one end, I put my arm all the way out, and I cut it. So I have enough yarn. Okay, and then for the white, I'm actually going to enter. So here's my black. I'm going to just enter through this top stitch here. Now my whites of my eyes, I like to kind of go underneath the eye. It kind of gives like that sweet look. So instead of going up the side, I like to do it under. So I'm going to come out on the side of the eye right here. Hopefully you can kind of see that. I'm gonna come out there, leave a little tail right here so you can tie your ends together when you're done. Okay, so we are coming out about the middle of the eye, right underneath where the lash is. I'm gonna come right on this side and come up to the top of the eye like this. So you're gonna get that bottom, and then we're gonna be able to do the top of the eye, the little detailing. Okay, so then you're gonna pull. Again, you're gonna probably catch a arm or a leg or something. And I'm gonna hold it and I'm gonna pull. You don't want to pull it too tight again, but you also don't want to leave it too loose. You want to kind of just find that happy medium, whatever is gonna hold that in place. There's also a little trick that I do with hairspray to secure these eyes a little bit better. I just spray it with a little bit of hairspray and tap, and it really holds all of these threads in place. Another thing with this cotton though, it doesn't like to like pill, or the acrylic yarn you get pilling and kind of like shedding. This one doesn't really do that. So now we are going to do this little top glimmer. So we want to put the needle in like a centimeter or two, I don't know. We're gonna go straight into the eye. You might have to kind of wiggle it around a little bit. There's a lot of stuff you're working through. So we're gonna go straight into the eye, and then I am going to come out right here. That way I can grab it again once I do this eye, because you're gonna wanna use this white again. You're doing the other eye. So again, we're gonna pull this, and I like to kind of just like make sure it's straight. Use your needle to perfect it. And you, again, don't want to pull this too tight to where it's like not going to be able to be seen, but you want it tight enough to where it's going to be very like secure. Okay, so then I'm going to take this off. I'm going to leave that hanging. Here is one of our eyes. How cute. And then I am going to do this eye. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm right underneath my loop, and we're going to go right above it and back down. And I'm going to count the same amount as I did on the other side. So I'm going to do 6 on the outside, 3 here, and then I'm going to go with my last loop here and do my eyelash. Okay, and then I'm on my final little pass for my eyelash here. So this time I'm going to go in and then I'm going to come out the same stitch at the top here. That way we can tie them together. Okay, so now we have our black yarn coming out the same spot at the top, which we are going to tie that off in a minute. I do have quite a bit of yarn left over, but like I said, I'd rather have more than not enough, because when I'm embroidering, if I run out, it's just bad. You don't want to ever run out. Okay, so then this is where we entered our little tail. So now I'm going to take this white where we came out the center of the head, and we're going to do our detailing on this side. So what I'm going to do is go back in the same stitch. So make sure you're going back in the same stitch. And again, we're going to come out the side of this eye. So right about there. And you should not be able to see that yarn because basically you're going right through the head. Okay, and then on this side, we're going to go to the other side here, enter that in, and we're going to come out the top of the eye. Same thing, you want to place that to where it is tight. Not too tight, but enough to secure. And then our final little bit here, again, we're going to do this little glimmer on the top. So I'm going to go about 1 centimeter down, go straight into the head, and then we're going to exit right here. Okay. So again, I'm going to kind of use my needle, make sure nothing's twisted. You want to pull tight enough to where it's secure, but not too tight. Okay, so we should have 2 strands of black coming out the same stitch, 2 strands of white coming out the same stitch. Now, we're going to complete our shaping. So here is our finished embroidery. How cute. So now we're going to grab these 2. Oh, now is where the magic happens. So now you take these 2 strands and we're going to pull them. So cute. Okay, so after you do that, you might have to finagle your details a little bit, especially this top little highlight. It might get pulled in a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of finagle that a little bit, pull a little bit more. And this is truly just all about finagling. How much you want to shape, what you want to fix. Nothing is tied off yet, so you can kind of just do as much as you want, finagle as much as you want. Wow, that's adorable. When we are happy with where we're at, we're going to take our 2 tails here, give it a good double knot, and then just shove them inside this head. Okay, and then with these 2 tails, at this point, I'm going to cut these a little bit. That way they're easier to work with. Okay, so we're going to do a double knot. Be really careful when you're tightening these. You don't want to tighten them too much and pull. See, I kind of pulled that in a little bit. But you can use your needle. Your needle's your friend. Pull that out a little. If that gets sucked in at all, pull it out a little. Okay, so we did a double knot with the white. Now we do a double knot with this. First knot here, be careful when you're tightening, go slow, because you're going to be pulling the eye when you do that. So, okay, and then I will leave, I don't know, like 1 inch of a tail, and then I just poke these into the head. make sure you are pressing them into the same stitch, or you will have tails out. And then I just use my needle. Again, my needle is my best friend. I'm just gonna kind of perk up those areas, make sure nothing is dented from doing the eyes. Here is the finished look. So you can see the eyes look a little better now that she looks like a little pony.